All right. Shalom, shalom. Let's start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kol Haloim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Uchak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad. The Akim and the Akwat that's listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson is edifying. So, Brother Shawab Mwan back at you with another lesson. And going into the title. All right, the verge of collapse, prepare for everything to fail. All right, and I have a video here. It's called How Arab Countries Will Crash U.S. Stock Market and Economy Over Iran. All right, and then I'm going to play it, and then we'll grab a couple scriptures.
With it. Here's how the Iran war is going to crash.
Let me change this view.
The U.S. stock market and our economy. Because, well, I'm going to let this Professor Wang, is that how you say his name, Jang? Here, he's got it worked out for us. Because all of our stock market is heavily dependent on investment from the Gulf states, the Gulf countries. And he's saying they're not going to be investing anymore. Well, here, watch.
Again, the key is the GCC.
Now, the GCC are all the Gulf oil-producing countries, right? So Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates, Oman, all those places, they're considered the GCC. Okay.
All right. So the game plan is this. You have to destroy the GCC. Why? Because the GCC is the linchpin of the American empire. So what the GCC does is it sells oil, and then for US dollars. What does it put US dollars? It puts US dollars into the American stock market. All right, so this is investments of the UAE, okay, Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait into the US financial markets. As you can see, from 2012 up to today, it's been exploding. All right, because the US financial markets is one of the safest places where you can put your money. The intention is this. The intention is, hey, if I cut off oil, and these countries no longer have access to US dollars, they're forced to spend whatever resources they have on protecting themselves, okay? And then guess what happens? The stock market collapses. The stock market collapses. The stock market is the real growth engine of the US economy. The entire US economy collapses with it, all right? There are about maybe 7 companies in America that accounts for about a quarter of stock market growth, okay? These 7 companies, of course, are all AI companies. NVIDIA,
Microsoft, Google.
Google, Apple. Okay, these are the companies, and then these companies are heavily invested in by the GCC nations. So if these nations
pretty much, if you see, and you're gonna see these stock, you're gonna see these oil prices rise up real quick. All right, and then it's gonna make the gas prices go insanely up. Also, as you see the gas prices go up more and more, all right, that goes to show you how fast the economy is collapsing. You see, and it's about to reach, it's about to get by the summertime. If we're still here, Lord willing, you know, all hell breaks loose by then. But if we was to reach towards the summertime is going to be insanely fucking wild with gas prices, all right, because of this war. And see, this is all from your cruel Lord, all right. He want to go out there and rage in war, all right. And this was, you know, the back effect of it, all right. He basically setting up the economy to crash on its own. All right.
Stock market.
Microsoft, Google.
Apple. Okay, these are the companies, and then these companies are heavily invested in by the GCC nations. So if these nations are no longer able to invest in the stock market, these companies will collapse in value. And with that, that would lead to economic depression in America. Okay, does that make sense? All right, so that is the situation for today.
Whoa.
And it only makes sense because that's exactly how the Great Depression happened. You see, during that time, we was in war, so it caused the whole entire economy to collapse. And look at the war that we're in now. You see, we're in war all over the world. You know, it ain't just in Iran. You know, these devils is trying to, you know, wage war anywhere they can right now. You know, they talking about Cuba being next after they done with Iran. I was they're already having trouble with Iran. Okay, and now they have all this beef, you know, amongst the world with all these different nations and all these different countries right now. You see, so that can only, you know, signify that this whole entire America is gonna collapse itself. Okay, they're losing out on money so much just waging war on these other nations and spending millions and millions of dollars, you know, firing off their weapons. You see, so if, it only shows you that this place is going to collapse at one point.
It's the situation. So we're doing that. That's happening. Iran has hit all the military bases that the United States has in all those GCC countries, destroyed most of them, flattened them. And they put all their defenses around Israel. We've talked about that in other videos and other shows, that the Saudi Arabia and the GCC states or countries feel abandoned by the United States. And it's obvious that the United States is only protecting Israel and not protecting them. They thought they would be protected by the United States in case of an attack. They are not being protected. The United States can't protect them, turns out.
And that's why eventually all their allies is going to hate. Okay, let's grab that real quick. This is this is Obadiah 1, and I'm gonna grab it from the NLT 1:7. And it reads, all the men of thy confederacy, NLT, all your allies will turn against you. They will help to chase you from your land. They will promise you peace while plotting to deceive and destroy you. Your trusted friends will set traps for you and you won't even know about it. All right. Yeah, because they're not even helping their own peoples out. You see, the people that they're supposed to be protecting, all right, they're not helping them out because they're so caught up with doing everything that Israel's telling them to do. You see? And this is why America's pretty much not to be trusted by these other nations. Okay, so hey, that's all biblical prophecy that's just playing out right now.
And Iran can just bomb the hell out of our military bases, which they've done, and flatten them. They're wiping us out of the. We're not going to have a presence anymore in the Gulf. No kidding. After this, and so what he's saying is that those Gulf states now feel abandoned. They're now being attacked. The United States is not stepping up. They cannot. The Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz, so they can't export oil anymore, and so they're not going to. So their ideas of they thought they were in a symbiotic relationship with the United States. We sell oil in U.S. dollars. And then you protect us militarily. Well, that has just been proven that is not the case. The United States is not protecting them militarily. No way. And so they can't sell their oil right now. And so what is the point of them keeping investing in the United States? So they'll stop. That's what he's saying. And is it true? Well, here it is. Warning, end of the empire. Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, and Qatar are discussing withdrawing from contracts in the United States and canceling future investment commitments in the United States. Trump has ended American dominance in the region. It's over. We'll be right back with more of this story after a brief message from our sponsor.
Alloy sink wrench for tight spaces. A set of 2, 7 notches. Fits various hose screws.
Hey, you may have seen the conversations happening online lately. Censorship is back. It's happening everywhere. Platforms are controlling narratives and pushing the stuff they want us to see. We need to fight back. Rumble is the only company that has stood the test of time and deserves our support. On one side, Rumble is challenging the big tech censorship, but now on the other side, they have introduced something that will give us protection from the big banks shutting us off. Banks can cancel our accounts and freeze our cards. That's why they've launched Rumble Wallet, a wallet that no one can cancel and wallet that supports supporters can use to instantly tip creators like myself without any middleman taking a cut. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money. Not a bank, not a government, not a tech company, not even Rumble can touch it. It's yours, only yours to protect
he on
your future
commercial.
and
I'm like, what
family.
the hell
You
he
can buy
talking
and
about?
save digital assets like Bitcoin,
I can't
Tether,
control that.
Gold,
Actually,
and
maybe I
now
can.
the
Hold
new
on.
USAT, like other platforms, and step away from the big banks for good. Wallet.rumble.com or search Rumble Wallet in the app stores. So here's the headline. Gulf states could review overseas investments to ease financial strains caused by Iran war. What? So this is Adam tweeted this out. So here's part of that news article. I'll read it to you. It says the official said 3 of the 4 big Gulf economies, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, and Qatar, had jointly discussed the strains being put on their budget and economies, but they declined to name the states. A number of Gulf countries have begun an internal review to determine whether force majeure clauses can be invoked in current contracts, while also reviewing current and future investment commitments in order to alleviate some of the anticipated economic strain from the current war, especially if the war and related expenses continue at the same pace. They added They added that the move was a precautionary measure that was the result of the budget strains these countries are facing due to reduced income from energy, due to the slowdown in output or the inability to ship, and from the tourism and aviation sectors, in addition to the increase in defense spending. So they don't have the money to keep putting in the United States stock market anyway. That's what this is saying. And this is all created because Donald Trump decided to attack Iran, and then Iran took out all the military bases and all those countries. An advisor to Gulf government said the prospect of an investment review by the wealthy states had caught the White House attention. They manage some of the world's largest and most active sovereign wealth funds, and Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Qatar's last year pledged to invest hundreds of billions of dollars in the United States after President Trump visited the region. They are also big backers of sporting events around the world, and all have been invested heavily domestically to develop their nations and diversify their economies. Any move that affects investments in the U.S. or other Western states may raise the pressure on Trump to seek a diplomatic strategy to bring the war to an end. The oil-rich Gulf states have been dragged into the conflict that the U.S. and Israel launched against Iran, with Tehran unleashing a ferocious response against Washington's regional allies. The war has caused shipping traffic to slow to halt through the Strait of Hormuz, the crucial waterway through which 1/5 of the world's oil and gas passes, with at least 10 tankers being stuck in the Gulf. So this is how very likely, or let's say likely, again, I'm not an economist, I'm not a stock market guy. I'm showing you that Professor Dwang, who is an expert at this, and I'm showing you what the newspapers are saying, and I'm showing you what the Gulf states are saying. So it seems like what that professor was saying and what the Gulf states are saying match up, and it looks like, look for a big downturn in the stock market because they're going to stop putting their money in it, and that's been propping up our stock market. So it's likely. Big possibility our stock market could crash and our economy could crash faster than you think. Faster than you think. And this is a much, much more dire situation than the Iraq war was, or Libya, or Syria. And for this reason. This is why none of the other presidents did it. Israel's been pushing the United States to attack Iran for my whole life. They wanted to attack Iran. They resisted. George Bush and Dick Cheney did Iraq. Barack Obama did Libya and Syria, but they wouldn't do Iran because they knew of the consequences, and they knew Iran could actually fight back. Iran said that they're waiting for the United States to put soldiers on the ground. They're waiting for it. They're waiting for them. They're ready. So you know when Iran fought the 9-year war against Iraq, they lost 300,000 people. That's more people than the United States has lost in every war since World War II. So they're ready to fight us. Do you think the United States is willing to sacrifice 300,000 soldiers for Israel and Iran? I don't think so. So this war is not winnable. Not winnable. Israel could always launch a nuke, and that would probably end Israel. for sure. But that's their Samson option because they are psychopathic, murdering, bloodlusting maniacs, genociding maniacs. That's what the Israeli government is, and that's what the Zionists are. So this is not looking good. But there are bright spots. If you'd like to hear about the bright spots, you can come see me telling jokes in San Antonio, Albuquerque, Houston, Dallas, Salt Lake City, the Comedy Store in Los Angeles on April 17th, and then Las Vegas, Tulsa, and Oklahoma City. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. If you'd like to hear my jokes about this, come see me in San Antonio.
Yeah, that's pretty much the end of it. So yeah, man, you see, this war was going to pretty much usher in everything on this side here in America, this new world order, all right, this MOTB, okay, because that whole, stopping, the oil flow out there in the Hormuz, Salakia, I said Hormuz, in the Hormuz, right, that's causing so many different economies to crash right now. The only one that's pretty much staying afloat right now is actually China. And they're allowing China to go through because China has helped them in so many different ways. All right. And they want to be able to keep, China on their side right now, Iran. All right. But see, that whole thing that's going on right there is pretty much crashing all these economies around the world. All right. And you see these devils is ready to, try to make moves on using nuclear power on Iran, okay, because they want that whole entire region right there. They want all of that to, confiscate their oil. Not only that, to make Israel greater. They want to be able to have that land to expand on that side. All right, which there was a video I brought out about a week ago based on that. All right. But hey, see, this is what's going to have these Carminians, all right, raging in wrath. All right, let's go to that real quick. Grab a couple of precepts and I'll close out. This is Shalom Malak Yahweh Bashem Yahushua Barakatah to you. This is 2nd Ezra 15 and Salakia. This is 29, and it says, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia, all right, that's going on to these Arabs, all right, shall come out with many chariots with these different, armies, all right, and it says, and the multitude of them shall be carried off as the wind upon earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Also the Carminians, all right, going into these Iranians, raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood. All right. And with great power shall they come. You see, that's what they're showing you right now. They're coming in great power. They're ready for war. All right. They can listen, man. They've been prepared for war for a very long time. Okay. As the guy was just saying, they've been planning this for years. Okay. And that's why pretty much right now, Iran is smacking, Israel on a whole nother level right now, destroying, parts of their cities, like literally devastating the shit out of their country. Okay. There's a whole bunch of videos going out through the web, and they're trying to keep it on the low, but it's just so much being leaked out at once. You do have a lot of AI videos that's being shown also, but you can tell which ones are the real ones and which ones are not. Okay. But they're not doing so good. Okay. And this is why pretty much America really don't want to go to war with them, because they know that they're next. You see? So it says, and with great power shall they come and join with them in battle, and shall waste the land of a portion of the land of the Assyrians. All right. So eventually you're going to have, here in America, a portion of the land is going to be destroyed. All right. It says, and then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature. All right. And if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them. And that's what you're seeing. You're seeing all those nations around that area. They're starting to conspire together, all right, on how to basically, destroy Israel, destroy America, how to crash their economies, how to destroy their their flow, basically. Okay, and eventually that's going to happen, man. It says, then these shall be troubled blood and keep silence through their power and shall flee. All right. So America, all right, going to Isaiah 19, and let me grab that real quick. 19 and 3. All right. He says, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof. Okay. So we know that America is going to fail out here, man. Everything here is going to fail. All right. Because this economy is going to collapse. All right. And you can see a reason. You can see how they're explaining it of what's going to make the economy collapse, man. All right. It says, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to their idols and to the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and to the wizards. Okay. And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them with saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah of hosts. All right. And you have that cruel Lord, which is Donald Trump right now. You see how he's making all these different moves. He's just thinking basically everything for the nation of Israel. He's not thinking about his own country, putting his own country in debt, putting his own country at risk. Okay. You got a lot of these sleeper cells down here, all right, that are plotting against their own, plotting against our country, and he could care less. All right, which that goes back to Second Ezra, the 15th chapter. All right, in verse 33, it says, and from the land of the Assyrians shall the enemy besiege them and consume some of them, and in their host shall be fear and dread and strife among their kings. All right, so you literally gonna have an inside attack that's gonna be done here in America. Okay, and you hear about sleeper cells all the time. Now you're starting to see a repeat of 2001. All right, you got people hijacking planes. All right, whether these are false flags or not. I believe a lot of them are false flags, but it's still a sign from Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah of what's to come. You see what's going to happen here in America. All right, so you got people that are hijacking planes in the name of Allah Akbar. Showing you there's about to be a lot of turmoil here on American soil. Okay, and you even had Donald Trump telling you that a lot of people gonna be unalived here in America. Okay, as a matter of fact, you also have I have an article which I'm gonna bring it out in another video, but I'll read it real quick. It says they were saying that the Mossad and the Rothschilds are planning to orchestrate a terrorist attack, okay, here on American soil, So, and they're going to try to pin it on Iran. They're going to try to blame all this shit that's going on in Iran. They're going to try to blame it on them when we know that it's coming straight from these top banking families. It's coming from these elites. You see, that's why you can never trust your enemy, because your enemy know how to manipulate, the media, manipulate his words to make you think that is these other nations. Okay. But at the same time that he's trying to manipulate, the world is actually seeing the devil, the horns on this devil, and people starting to wake up to, who are the true terrorists around the world. All right. And they're the most hated right now. Okay. As the scriptures tell you in Obadiah, the 1st chapter, in the 2nd verse. All right, that they're small among the heathen, they're greatly despised. So a lot of people are starting to realize, all right, that these devils, all right, are literally the ones that have been pulling strings and causing a lot of, wickedness upon this earth. Okay, and that's pretty much why they're gonna end up meeting their doom. All right, but the point is that the economy is about to collapse, and we have to watch out for that. Just stay on the watch, see what's going on. All right. And, be circumspect, redeeming the times because the days is evil. All right. So, that's pretty much the point. Just wanted to share that video real quick. So, Lord willing, you will edify. So, with that being said, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Call Elohim Lai, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Bachak Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who do well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered abroad. The Akim and the Akwat that was listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing, that the lesson was edifying. To the next one, Shalom. Keep fighting the good fight of faith, enduring as good soldiers of Yahweh Shah. Shalom.